All right, welcome back to the Ecuador Insider Podcast. I'm Jesse Bayer, joined today by Milton Mena. We've been out of commission for a while, hoping to get back to the podcast on a more regular basis. So thanks for tuning in, thanks for listening. Today is the 26th of July, 2018. We're here at my offices in Loja. Milton is an architect, a builder, a developer, a good friend. Somebody who we work with both on investment projects as well as recommending clients to. And so he really brings a lot of experience to the table with construction. Milton was born in Loja, so also brings the perspective of a Lojano, of an Ecuadorian to the table. And as somebody who's been in the construction industry for many years, can talk really extensively and expertly, is that a word? About construction and building and permitting and costs and investing and all that sort of stuff. So that's what we're here today to do. Milton, thank you so much for being here. Milton, of course, is bilingual, but English, of course, is his second language. So we'll take this the best we can. But he's somebody who I can also highly recommend to anyone who's watching this. If you're looking to move to Ecuador, to this region of Ecuador and build, he's a great guy to help you out. So thanks again for being here. How's everything going?
Good. Thank you, Jesse, for inviting me, and it's a pleasure to talk about things that I do every day, and the people that it's watching, so they can have a look of what we do here in Loja, mostly, and in Ecuador.
Yeah. So Milton, you're more or less my age, right? You're mid-30s?
Mid-30s, yeah.
You've been an architect since early 20s?
20, yeah. I'm an architect since 10 years.
10 years, okay.
Yeah.
And you've been building in Loja for those 10 years, more or less?
7 years.
7 years.
After my master's degree in construction.
Okay, so
yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's see. So basically 2011, more or less.
Yeah.
Or 7 years, right? 2011. Okay, cool. So you saw sort of the end of some good years, right? Like 2011, 12, maybe 13.
And 13, yeah.
Were probably pretty good years for
Very
you.
good years, yes.
Okay. And then what was it like for you? We had, just to give people, a little background, Ecuador had some pretty significant boom years, 2008 through like 13. And then 14 was kind of, okay, and then 15 and 16, the bottom fell out. Those were very bad years economically, and certainly for me in the real estate business, I would imagine construction similar. What were those years like for you?
Well, yeah, as you said, like 2011 through 2013 were very, very good years because it was a lot of money in the pockets of the most of the citizens, because the government start to invest in construction. They hire a lot of employees, and you had a lot of money. But we knew as citizens that money, it was not going to be like forever, because we don't have that too much money as a country. So we expected that it were going to be a lower years. So that was a politician's stuff.
Right.
Yeah, but then in 2015 the construction lowered a lot. As you know, construction, I think in most of the countries, is a meter of how is the economic.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. So now some of the politics have changed. We have another president, and the people start to. I think they were waiting for a change.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were waiting for a change, and like since we have changed that, the people are sure to invest. So the construction is not as good as it used to be in 2013, but the people sure is moving, and they are putting some money in construction. Yeah.
Yeah, that's been my experience as well. That there's definitely more confidence now than there was.
That's a word. Yeah.
Yeah, than there was for a couple of years there. We've had some interesting developments here locally as well. I know people here, because of the laws, are careful about what they say, especially on camera. So don't say anything that will make you uncomfortable. But as a foreigner, I don't care. but I here locally. Loja just recalled the mayor. The mayor was, when was he elected? I guess it's like 3 years ago, probably.
Yeah, 2015, I think.
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah, so more or less he was in office for 3 years, the mayor who was just recalled. We had a referendum, they recalled the mayor. From my perspective, when he was in office, things had gotten very difficult in Loja to get permits, to get permissions, to do anything. Had just become a struggle, kind of like pulling teeth, even for simple things. And I've noticed personally, just in the last few weeks that he's been out of office, there seems to be a collective sigh, sort of, in the city. I mean, I noticed just out front here, the simmer agents who give parking tickets.
Okay.
They don't come around very much anymore.
They don't try to bother too much.
Right. What has it been like for you, both working, having to get permits while he was in office, and then what kind of differences have you seen since?
Yeah. Well, when he got out of the office, like the people, I don't know, like the people noticed that the people of the city wanted a change. So they wanted to hurry up things. So they wanted the things that move faster in the municipio, So it has been a change. The people there is moving fast. Also, they have a lot of job now, because I think a lot of projects were waiting this decision, and came all the things. So they have a lot of projects in there. I have seen when I visit the office, they have a lot of folders. Yeah. So, well, I think it has to be, they haven't done a huge change, because they are settled things down now. But I think in some months we will see difference. They need to employ or hire more people to make things faster. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also I think that they are going to look at the law, and if you are within, you're moving fast. Yeah, I think that is.
Yeah, that's interesting. So a lot of projects were on hold, and then they got rid of Chateau, and now people are that's not surprising. Let's talk a little bit about construction timelines and costs. Obviously, for somebody who's moving to Ecuador, some people are looking to buy something that's already built, but others, of course, want to build. So you have a ton of experience, of course, building in Loja, the city, also in some of the other parts of the region. If I come to you, I want to build a house, maybe I want to buy a lot in Loja, maybe I want to buy a piece of land a little bit outside the city, maybe I'm interested in popular places like Malacatos or Vilcabamba, and I'm looking to build. What are my costs going to look like per square meter? And also, what is my timeline going to be from the day I say I'm ready to the day that you hand me the keys?
Okay, we're going to separate, for the timeline, we're going to separate things. One, it will be like the design and the paperwork at the municipio, and other will be the construction.
Sure.
So the design will take about a month to do a design, and we discuss it with the client. Well, if there are some major changes that we have to do, probably it's going to be a couple weeks more. And the paperwork work at the municipio, I always say like it's 2 months with all the stuff until you get the permit. So when you start to build, it's going to be about 7 months of building a house.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how many square meters are going to be. Well, if it's a building, we are going to take a little longer, but like I manage the construction periods with labor for more for a bigger house, more labors.
Sure.
So
okay, so more or less a month to do the design, more or less 2 months to get approvals in the municipio,
Yeah.
and then around 7 months of construction.
Yeah.
So 10 months, give or take.
Yeah, 10 months. 10 months, you can say 11 months, like too much.
Sure.
But yeah, I think in 10 months it's good. It's not too tight. Like we can say we can do it in 4 months if they want to hurry up things.
Sure.
We can work
And
faster, but
are those timelines different in the city and out of the city?
just well in Vilcabamba I have some troubles with the people that you have to with the workers of that area, but I have to bring all the workers from Loja or the workers that I trust them to there. So the timeline there is going to be like 1 month or 2 months more because of this stuff, in my experience. Like, but I'm trying to do things faster in Vilcabamba, in Malacatos. So I'm planning to take my crew there, and like they could live there for 3 to 4 months, and we can do things fast.
Got it.
I'm doing that.
Okay, and costs. What more or less, to build, if I want to build, a good quality, high standard, nice finishing materials home in Loja or in Malacatos, Vilcabamba areas, what am I looking at per square meter of cost, more or less?
Okay, you will have in Loja the prices are going to be through 500 through 600 per square meter.
Okay.
And Vilcabamba, you will have, if you want the same finishes as we do here in the city, you are going to have like 10 through 15% more of the cost. It's because just the labor. Okay, the materials we are not too far away, so it's like of the same. Yeah, but when we build in Vilcabamba, we build like more like a country,
like rustic.
Yeah, like rustic. So we don't have too many finishes there as we do in the city. So it's a different kind of construction type. So probably if we do it like rustic and more like a country-like type of construction, we are going to talk about the same prices.
Okay.
Yeah, but we manage that. When we talk with the client, we always ask about budget, because when we do the estimate, we can talk about things and finishes with the client and make to do the things like be in the budget, and we also like to we know the places here. We know where to buy. We know with we know all about prices of construction. So
Sure.
when we talk to the client, we can take the client and say, hey, look, we can change this stuff. I don't know, talking about tiles, for example. If you go with porcelain and if you go with ceramic tiles, you will have a different
Sure.
kind of price. So there is some things that we can save money in construction, and we always like to talk with the client about that, to lower prices and be between the budget. But that's a good finish. Yeah, like if you want very rustic, we can talk about $400 per square meter.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know you do a lot of modern stuff in Loja. I know that's a lot of your business. But do you also have experience working with things like Tapia, which is rammed earth, or Adobe, or other construction methods other than brick and concrete and steel?
Yeah. Look, I don't know if we talk about that, and I don't know if I told you. We are doing a house in earth in Santiago.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little town, like 40 minutes.
Out towards Santiago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So it's we are doing a house in mud. It's very nice, and I liking a lot that kind of construction. So the good thing about that is all the materials are natural.
Right.
It's nothing that is not natural there. So
Right.
you have a rammed earth. It's more in adobe, and then you put mud in all the finishes, ceramic tiles, natural ceramic tiles.
Okay.
Well, it's just mud and you cook it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a ceramic, and that then we are talking about the structure of the ceiling. It's going to be wood and tiles on top, and it's
The roof tiles.
roof tiles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and well, that kind of construction, we are talking about 400 per square meter. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, let's talk a little bit about investing. So, we get a lot of calls for people looking for buildings with rental income, but I think other people are interested in building for, retail sales. You and I do projects where, we'll buy a piece of land, subdivide it, develop it out, and sell that. Let's talk a little bit about, this region of Ecuador from an investment standpoint. So if I'm an investor and I want to hire you to, let's say, do an apartment building, or let's just say you're doing it yourself even, it doesn't matter. What kind of returns am I looking at? What kind of margin can I expect if I'm building out, let's say, apartment buildings in Loja for retail sale?
Okay. Well, there are. I would like to talk about the type of investment that you can do. I think that it's a very good. My advice, if someone wants to invest here, is to buy a piece of land and do a urbanization.
Yeah.
That you will have a very good profit in there.
Yeah, so just to clarify for people what Milton's referring to, what they call in Spanish Urbanization, which is what we would say more or less would be like a development, really. In English, I don't know that there's a better, there's probably a better translation that I can't think of.
I thought that it was urbanization.
It might, maybe it is. I mean, I don't know that there's actually a good, like a good direct translation.
A development.
Yeah,
good.
but development is so broad; it could mean anything. But what they refer to here as urbanization is when you take a piece of land. Generally speaking, it's an urban. It's within the city limits. You can do them rurally, but that's a whole different subject. But you take a piece of land, a raw piece of land, you divide it into lots. You bring in all of the infrastructure, and there's very specific rules as to how you're allowed to do that. But you bring in all the infrastructure, so you paved roads and sidewalks and the street lights and the sewer, electricity, water, etc. And then you sell those lots, off to the public. So that's what we're talking about. Correct?
Yeah. I think that's one of the for me it's very good to invest in that. Well, you have to talk about time there, because the time, it will take longer. You have to take permissions, a lot of permissions of water supply, electric supply, sewer, and all the stuff. Well, but the profit there is good. Like, you will have probably 60% through 70%.
So a 60 to 70% return over a 24-month period, 12-month, 36-month.
I will say 24 through 36.
To be all sold out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then.
So I mean, you're talking 20+% return annually. That's a good return.
Yeah. Well, and then if we talk about apartments, and the apartments now are selling good. The people is looking for apartments. So in apartments, you will have the profit that you will have there is going to be 40% of the investment.
And time frame? Are you talking similar 2 to 3 years, or more because of the construction?
No, well, the construction is going to be 12 through 14
months.
Not more, but you can do a pre-sale.
Sure.
Yeah, and you know a little more about sales than me, but I will say like probably in 24 months you will
sold out.
Yeah.
Okay. And then rural stuff. What do you? I mean, I don't know. There's some people don't do that as much. I've noticed. I feel like there's less margin in. I don't know many builders, for example, who sort of speculate building in rural areas, like build a house in Malacatos just to sell. People do it, but it seems to be not a much less common business with what from my perspective looks like smaller margins. What do you think about doing things like that in rural areas? From my perspective, the way we do it is the right way to do with land. To take land and make it beautiful and sell pieces. But what about the construction side?
Well, I think probably the investments are not looking forward for it. It's because they are not like, I don't know, if we have a whole urbanization to do and we do housing for the whole urbanization, it's a good business. Yeah. But if we do a development, and you have several lots, you are going to have several clients. If you do like at the client desire, you are going to build one house, I don't know, like one house, then one house, then one house. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the major problem. But if you do like several housing, it's going to be good. But we don't have seen that in the area.
Yeah.
The people haven't done that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's interesting. If I were a builder, I would probably get into stuff more in the city. But from my perspective, I really like taking rural pieces of land, making them beautiful, and then selling off pieces as an investment, opportunity. I think very few people here are doing that because it's not the I would say the Ecuadorian mindset is more towards being in population centers, whereas as a foreigner coming to Ecuador, you don't necessarily mind being further out and being a little more rural, whereas most people here want to kind of be close to everything, and so as a result, you don't really see large pieces of land being divided up for living, for residential use. They're used, for, of course, for agriculture and things like that. But I really think there's nice opportunities there. So just jumping back to Loja for a second, something that occurred to me. I've only been here for 5 years, so I only have 5 years of history to go on, and so you can speak to this much better than I can. But just in the time that I've been here, there's been a lot of development here. I've seen the city grow a lot. We're sitting here in my office. I'm looking out here at the mountains, and if you can picture Loja, for those of us watching on YouTube, I'll try to describe it for those listening. It's sort of a rectangle. It's it's in a valley. It's very long and narrow. If you're talking south on one end of the valley, there's nowhere to go because as soon as you get towards the south, you start going up into Cajanuma where it gets cold, and there's very little flat land, and so there's nowhere to go south. If you look at east and west, you can go up into the mountains, but there's only so much of that, and a lot of that's happened already. I really look at it as north, as being the interesting side of the city from an investment standpoint, because it's a little warmer out there because you dip down in elevation, which is nice, and a lot of it's undeveloped. Like the development's pushing out, but a lot of it is still undeveloped. And there's really beautiful pieces of land out there that in 20 years will probably be in the middle of the city, but right now are still, there's cows. What do you think about where's the city going?
It's good. Your perspective is good because I used to live in the north, 15 years ago, and it was nobody there.
Right.
Nobody, and now it's all populated. There is a lot of people, and the cost there of the land has increased crazy. It was I don't know, probably you could buy a land 10 years ago there per $80 or $60
a square meter.
And now the developments that you have now, you are talking about $250 per
in the
square meter.
urbanization.
Yeah, so it's 3 times more than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So the people is looking there. The people likes there because it's warmer, it's quiet,
right,
and you have flat land there.
Right.
So yeah, you're right. That's the where the city is going, and that's the part that you can invest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit more. Actually, you know what? Let's jump into a little bit more sort of broad scale Ecuador stuff. And Milton's somebody who spent some time in the States. I don't know how long. Was it just a few months or?
It was a year.
A year.
I was an exchange student at Minnesota.
In Minnesota.
Yeah.
What part of Minnesota, for anyone who's familiar with that part of the country?
Pipestone, Minnesota. Yeah, it's in the south. Yeah.
Okay.
Probably my friends are going to look and I will say hi to them.
So is that, I've never heard of that. Is that rural area?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not near like Minneapolis or?
No,
Okay.
it's more near of the, how was it called? Sioux Falls.
Sioux Falls, Iowa. Is that right, or Minnesota?
No,
I don't know.
Sioux Falls.
Showing my ignorance of Midwest geography. Sioux Falls. Okay, Iowa. Yeah. But so you spent a year in the States. That gives you, of course, a point of comparison. Talking about, looking at some of the differences. I guess you survived a winter in Minnesota, which had
it
to
was
be a
crazy.
shock for you.
Yeah, I was shocked there.
That's a new level of cold, isn't it?
Yeah. I've never been that cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you look at as, if I'm coming from Minnesota, for example, or anywhere else, and I'm thinking about living in Loja, or maybe just, the area, Vilcabamba, wherever, what do you look at as sort of some of the pros and cons, or some of the differences? What do you make of life here?
Well, first when I came back from the States, I didn't want to leave my town. Like, it was good to me. I did love that experience because I grew up a lot on my mind. It was a great experience.
Change your perspective.
Changed my perspective. Yeah, I like well, my host that was there, he always told me dream be
big, yeah.
Be big, yeah. So he always talked about that, and yes, it changed my perspective. But I like Loja a lot. I like my country a lot because it's a lot of fun. Like, well, first the climate. Yeah, you here you don't have that change of climate. Like, here we are cold. We are in the cold season
Yeah.
of the year, but you are talking about 18 or 16 degrees
Celsius. Yeah.
Yeah. So the people say, "Oh, it's freezing," but they don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't know the
I've totally acclimated to that, and now when it's so I suck at Celsius, but in Fahrenheit, when it's 50 or 55 or 60 outside, I'm miserably complaining about how cold it is. So yeah.
So you are into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, but look, that's I have with my family, with my kids. When for us it's cold here, we take the car in 30 minutes. You are in Vilcabamba with a very nice weather, or you can go to Catamayo and you have a hot weather there.
Yeah.
So you can choose. That's for me. It's crazy. I don't know if in some of the parts of the world you can choose where.
Definitely not in the States.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But if you feel cold here, you go 30 minutes and you have warm. You go 45 minutes and you have a hot area. And well, if you go for 4 hours, you can go to the beach. And if you go hour and a half, you will be in the Amazon region,
Yep.
in the forest. So for me, it's crazy. It's fabulous. I like that. So yeah, I can say that of Loja. That's why I didn't leave. I didn't even leave to Cuenca or Quito or Guayaquil. I didn't go there. I like my city. I like my region. Yeah, and talking about climate and talking about sites that you can have. And other thing that I like a lot is the people. The people here, they are very friendly and they are honest. They don't want to take advantage of you. Well, there are some people that probably
Sure.
do that, but most of the people are you can trust them, you know. So like when I'm in construction, sometimes I go to a store and they just know me, and I say I'm going to take these things, and I will came in 30 minutes and pay you. Sure. When I'm in a hurry, okay, no problem. Just go ahead and we'll do it later. I don't know if we can do that in, for example, in Cuenca.
Right.
That it's not such a bigger city than Loja, but here you are confident about the people. Yeah. Well, I think that can I say, well, in the difference about US, I don't know, probably I would say it's easy here to have friends. Probably the foreign people that live here, they could say that. I don't know, you get we get friend, we were friends, like we meet in the afternoon, right? In one day, and we talk about things, and yes, we were friends, like yeah. And so yeah, the people is very friendly, and mostly I will say the difference from the US, weather, sites. Another main thing is the food that you can here. You can have fruits from everywhere. Yeah, and you can have and meat. Probably you will have meat all over the world, but you can have whatever you want. You can eat seafood very, like they caught it yesterday and they bring it today, so it's very fresh. And like, well, in the States, I don't know if all the things are very fresh, because it's such a huge country that probably you won't have or probably because the weather, you won't have like all the time mandarins, or all the time orange, or whatever fruit, because of our weather. We have that all year. When I go to the market and I buy, my kids loves fruit, and I buy fruit. I have never been out of orange. Sometimes it changed the price. The orange changed the price a lot, but never they say, hey, we don't have anything. But they say, hey, we don't have as much as we used to have 2 months or 3 months ago. That's why it has increased the price, but you never, like, it's out, you know. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things that I love, the food here. That you can have whatever you want, fresh.
Yeah, I mean, having grown up in the States, I can say that that's really one of my favorite things about here is the quality of the fruits and the produce and the freshness, and it's just real food. Like it's it's not grown in like sand in Florida and then stuck in a freezer with gas and then done all this stuff before you eat it. It's picked off the tree, brought to the market, and sold. And it's delicious. Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking back too on a couple of the other things you're mentioning. I mean, it always shocks me in Loja, and I think there's certainly other places in Ecuador like this, but it always shocks me in Loja. I don't know. So there's somewhere around 250,000 people live in the, I don't know if it's the canton or the province of Loja, but something like maybe 150,000 live in the city itself. Something like that. And so it's not a small city. I mean, 150,000 people is a lot of people, but it has this weird aspect to it where it just functions like a town. And you were talking about people just letting you pay later. I mean, I've had a million experiences like that, even with people that didn't know me, where I go in and I'm like, I'm trying to do something, and I'll come back in 10 minutes, no problem. They've never seen me before, in their life. And that, I mean, that would never happen somewhere else of an equivalent size city. I also as part of that, everybody knows each other, which is remarkable to me. That of this many people, everybody knows each other.
That's crazy. That's
Even me.
That's a funny thing.
Yeah, I mean, even me, who I've only been here a short time, if I were to walk from here to the municipio, which is a 10-minute walk, I would say hi to a few people. Like, you know, there'd be a few people that I'd wave at and say hello. And I've only been here a few years. It's really interesting the way that is. When I look at the similar size cities in the States, that's just not the case. You know, that it's a much more transitory migrant. You know, people are come and go. Whereas here, people have been here for generations and generations and generations, and the families know each other, and it creates that sort of town-like vibe where you can talk to people, and you know, there's a lot of trust, and it makes for a nice life, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and probably because the people has been like generation plus generation, and well, there is a lot of people that goes away.
Sure.
But most of the people, it's here. We don't have like a huge economic thing going on here in the city. I will think if it will be like the politicians, the people that runs the city, they need to think about more producing. But we will have like more economy here. It will be like the greatest place to live. Like the people, it's very funny because like probably that's why you need to behave here in the town because because if someone doesn't know you, probably knows your uncle or probably knows your grandpa, and you say, hey, you are who is your grandpa? Who is your uncle? So and they say, okay, I know your
I
grandpa.
went to school with his sister.
So probably like the people from Loja is very familiar too. Like my family, we always have lunch on Sundays, and we always have breakfast on Saturdays with all my family. I see all
really
my
cool.
I see all my uncles. I see all my cousins. So the people know each other a lot. And they are very familiar. They like to take a tour in family. So that's why probably they know each other so well. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. It's a very familial society. It's a place where that's how things get done as well. I mean, if you don't know people, you're kind of screwed. You know, it's like I can't tell you how many sort of like walls I came up against just not knowing people until I figured out, the way you get stuff done is you go and talk to people and build relationships, and then they'll help you and you can get everything done. But without those sort of familial connections, it can be difficult. I really agree. It's Sunday here is almost like family day.
Family day.
You find, in Vilcabamba or Malacatos, you'll find, on Sundays just massive groups of families eating ice cream and hanging out and
like the grandpas, the uncles, your dad, your cousins, the little ones. So everyone's go there. It always has been like that. I remember of the childhood that we used to go to Malacatos, and we used to buy every Sunday the ice creams.
Right.
The ice creams that are made for milk.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And there is the lady that sells that. She still lives. I don't know how many years, but probably she is about 100 years. Yeah. But she'll still live there. And when I go, the people say, hey, don't you want an ice cream? And I remember that. And I always go to the same store that I used to go like
forever. Yeah. Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned too. It's interesting about the economy because that is one of the sort of drawbacks, I guess you could say, about Loja, where there isn't a lot of industry. So people, you do have professionals who go to Cuenca or go to Guayaquil or Quito, or even out of the country to Spain or to the States, for work reasons, because Loja, while there's certainly money in Loja, it's certainly not a poor area by any means, but there's not a lot of economic activity. So it's interesting. It would be really, I think it would be great if a wave of sort of entrepreneurship, swept through the city. And there is a lot of that going on. I mean, you see a lot of people our age, or even younger, in fact, now doing some really cool things that I think will have a lot of success in the coming years.
Probably the technology is going to be one of our major
I agree with that. I've seen a lot of, you've got a lot of people creating technology systems, applications for the phone and all sorts of things like that have come in. So it'll be interesting to see where Loja goes. Where do you see Ecuador going? And just to, if you're not familiar, which I certainly wasn't, I'm only sort of now, but if you're not familiar with like Latin American politics, it's really a shock coming from a place like the States, where I'm from, where you have in the States, you have just this degree of stability in politics that you just don't have here, which is, it's almost shocking when you look at the difference. So for example, in the States, in my lifetime, we went from, I guess it was, would have been Carter, Jimmy Carter, to, I don't know, was it Bush after him, and then Clinton, and then, Reagan, excuse me, and then Bush and Clinton, and, whoever back to Bush, and then Obama, and, sorry for probably butchering that, but whatever it was, Democrat, Republican, and the House and Senate, swung all over the place, and you had, contentious Supreme Court stuff, and you have all your political stuff, but your underlying stability doesn't change so much. So, your tax code, your tax policy, it only can change on the margins. You wouldn't be like, today there's 0% tax, tomorrow it's 50%. You'd never have anything like that in the States. Or today you're allowed to do this industry and tomorrow you're not, or, right, things like that. And what I've noticed being here for, 5 years, and then learning about the history prior to that. So, we had a currency collapse in 99, 2000. Ecuador dollarized, went from the sucre to dollars, wiped out a lot of wealth. A lot of people lost maybe half of their wealth, or, a lot of their wealth if they had it in the bank. Then we had some, I don't remember the exact number, but something like 7 presidents or 9 presidents over a short number of years.
It was crazy. That was crazy.
And then Correa came in. Then you had some years of stability, political stability, monetary stability since 2000. But then you had some years of political stability. And then in the time I've been here, you've seen these sort of massive changes. So, Correa announced I think it was in 2014, announced, the plusvalia, in English, the capital gains tax on real estate, a massive inheritance tax, which destroyed the country overnight. You had like everything stopped. I mean, construction stopped, investment stopped, capital fled the country overnight without even the law going on the books. So and I say that as an example of the kind of political swing and the amount of change you can have in such a quick time. I remember talking to a friend of mine during the election. He really wanted Moreno to win. I didn't, but he wanted Moreno to win because he said, if Lasso wins, everything changes again. And, at least now we know the rules. At least we have we understand the rules. The new guy comes in, all the rules change. And so I sort of I give a little bit of that history to say, where are we going now? What do you see over the next few years? Moreno's come in, things have calmed down, things have stabilized. He's been much more friendly towards business entrepreneurship, private ownership. There's been, I would say, some small improvements in those ways. They got rid of the capital gains tax, which Korea had implemented at the end. Yeah. We've gotten rid of the mayor here in Loja. It's an interesting time. I feel like there's probably some good years ahead, but you never really know. And I don't know. What do you see? What do you see coming?
Well, let's talk about dollar first. The dollar has been great to us. We have a stability, a very good stability in economics that we didn't have before. We were never, I don't know. I was surprised when this happened in the States that the economy just were down.
Like 2008.
Yeah, 2000. But it was like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can do that here. I don't know if it will happen there, because we were being for several things that probably change the people, how to do things, but the people I think are used to that, and they know how to manage that.
Yeah, that's right.
But the economics doesn't go. We don't have the great economic, but it doesn't go all the way down. Just very simple, So probably I will not be too much worried about that. I will say the economic is going to be like we will going to have a stability, and probably if I think the mind of the people is changing, and then it's going to be we are going to change about being for socialist. We are going to change for capitalism, for people that comes from there. I think that's the way that our things happen. So probably we are going to have a president the next years that is going to be a capitalist president. Probably, I will say that. I don't know how the things were going, but yeah, I will say that. But you are right. When a major comes, he changes all the things, and probably another major come and they changes all the things. But I don't know. We are just used to that. Most of the people here in their businesses, and they kind of living. We are used to that because we always have that. It's crazy for you, and it's crazy for us because we think about that. That is not good. It is it can happen that, but yeah, it's like that.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I mean, I think I've noticed, when I was freaking out, when stuff was happening, other people weren't. Like Ecuadorians, friends of mine, like you, for example, and other friends.
Don't worry, that will
Yeah, you told me that, and other people told me that, and I'm like, these people are crazy. They think everything's gonna be fine, and the world's ending, and you guys were all right. You all had it right. I was totally wrong, and it happened exactly as everyone told me it would.
Don't freak about it. It will change.
Yeah, and it's funny. I find myself saying that to foreigners now when there's something new, like there's some proposal that comes out that sounds very scary, and that happens from time to time. Or you even get scary stuff happening, like when they were with the 30-meter margin of protection that they were, using for senderos. And things you have these things that happen.
Public stuff.
But you look at, even that's actually a great example, just to fill people in. So the former mayor was using this national law that gives a 30-meter margin of protection from the river in order to create public spaces and walking trails for the most part. And basically just taking people's land. And there was all sorts of fights about it and lawsuits and all those things. So what happened ultimately? They recalled the mayor, kicked him out of office by a vote of 70 to 30, and that's dead now. No, there's no more bothering you about those 30 years.
Yeah, and like I don't know, the people that goes to the municipio, they don't want to hear a professional, probably, because I think it was a big problem for the municipio to start taking that as a public space, because it's not public space.
It's not public.
Yeah, it's your space, but you can't build there. It's just that you can't build, and they start to take in and make a public space and that, but they have a problem, a big problem. That's why they are not taking that anymore.
Right.
They have to invest in those public spaces, and they have to maintain that public space. So they need a lot of money if they take your land and become a public space. I'm not saying the public space is wrong.
No, sure.
Yeah, it's good, but inappropriate parts, I don't know. So they have that problem. So that they don't want public public space no more for that. It's
yeah. Careful what you wish for.
yeah.
Yeah. Very good, Milton. Thank you so much for being with us today. I want to give you a moment to tell people how to contact you. You have a website, email. What do you want to give? Do you want to give something out so people can get in touch with you if they want?
Well, we can put in the credits.
Yeah.
In the comments.
Yeah.
We can put my stuff, my email. You can search me in Facebook as a Mondo. That's my.
That's your company, Mondo, correct?
Yeah, Mondo. Yeah, you can search me. Also, I have Instagram, Facebook, and my email. Yeah, we can put that.
Perfect. We'll put it in the description. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in again. And I'm Jesse Bayer of Abundant Living Ecuador. You can find all my contact info in the description below as well. And have a great day.
Have a great day. Nice, Jesse.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.